Your mind is the control center of your entire life. Every breakthrough, every transformation, every victory begins with one simple decision: to change the way you think. Every action you take, every path you walk, and every result you experience starts from a single place in your mind. Before anything changes in the physical world, it must first change in your thoughts. Your mind is the architect, the designer, the command center that shapes the direction of your life long before you take a single step. People often think their circumstances make their decisions, but in reality, it is their mindset that shapes their choices. Two people can stand in the same situation, facing the same pressure, and still choose two completely different paths, not because life treated them differently, but because their minds interpreted the moment differently. One sees possibility, the other sees impossibility. One sees risk, the other sees opportunity. One sees fear, the other sees growth. The truth is, your mind decides your life before your actions ever do. You could have all the talent, all the potential, all the dreams in the world, but if your mind doubts you, your actions will follow that doubt. If your mind limits you, your life automatically becomes limited. The strength of your mind determines the strength of your decisions. Think of the moments in your life when you hesitated, when you held yourself back, and when you knew what to do but still didn't do it. It wasn't because you were incapable. It was because your mind wasn't aligned with action. The mind whispered fear, so your body followed fear. The mind whispered uncertainty, so you froze. But when your mind becomes confident, determined, and focused, your body follows with power. Suddenly, you become bold, decisive, and unshakable. This is why changing your mindset is the foundation of changing your life. When your thoughts shift, your decisions shift. And when your decisions shift, your entire direction shifts. Your mind is always speaking, feeding you narratives, shaping your perception, influencing your confidence. The question is, who is controlling the conversation? If you don't train your mind, it will be trained by fear, by your doubt, by your past, or by the opinions of others. But when you take control, when you decide what to focus on, what to believe, and what to reject, you rewrite the script of your life from the inside out. Every victory you'll ever experience begins as a thought. Every dream you'll ever achieve begins as a decision. Every habit you'll build, every discipline you'll strengthen, every step you take towards success starts with the mindset you choose in the quiet moments when no one is watching. Your mind is the birthplace of your destiny. It is where the seeds of your greatness are planted, watered, and grown. If you win in your mind, you win everywhere else. Your future is not something that just happens to you. To you, it is something you gradually build through the patterns of your thoughts. Every thought you choose, positive or negative, strong or weak, courageous or fearful, acts like a silent architect designing the life you will eventually walk into. Most people focus on changing their environment, their job, their relationship, or their habits, but they overlook the single most important foundation: their thinking. Your thoughts function like blueprints. Just as a building cannot rise higher than the design it was created from, your life cannot rise higher than the quality of the thoughts you consistently entertain. If you constantly tell yourself you can do something you won't even try, if you convince yourself that success is for others, you will push opportunities away without even realizing it. Your mind informs your actions shape your habits, and your habits carve the path of your life. Think about how many times people sabotage their own journey, not because they lack skill or potential, but because they carry thoughts that contradict their goals. A person who dreams of success but thinks like a failure will always remain stuck. A person who desires growth but holds on thoughts of fear and insecurity will never move forward. The gap between who you are and who you want to be is often nothing more than the gap between your current thoughts and the thoughts you should be thinking. Your thoughts also shape how you interpret the world around you. Two people can experience the same event, yet one will see it as a setback while the other sees it as a setup. That difference doesn't come from the event itself. It comes from the mindset interpreting it. Thoughts create filters. They determine what you notice, what you ignore, what you believe is possible, and what you believe is out of reach. If your thoughts are filled with fear, the world feels threatening. If your thoughts are filled with doubt, every decision feels heavy. If your thoughts are filled with negativity, everything looks impossible. But when your thoughts shift to strength, purpose, ambition, and discipline, your world starts to look different. Opportunities appear where you once saw obstacles. Confidence grows where you once felt weakness. Hope rises where you once carried despair. Your thoughts also have a powerful influence on your emotional state. A single negative thought can drain your energy, poison your focus, and ruin your momentum. But a single powerful thought, I can do this, I am capable, this I is possible, can ignite your motivation, sharpen your clarity, and elevate your entire day. Your emotions follow your thoughts, and your behavior follows your emotions. This cascade is what ultimately shapes your future. Every great achiever, every champion, every innovator, every leader shares one thing in common. They mastered their thinking before they mastered their craft. They understood that the mind must lead before the body can follow. They created a mental world where success felt possible, necessary, and inevitable, and gradually their reality began to reflect that inner blueprint. Your mind is the soil. Your thoughts are the seeds. Whatever you consistently plant will eventually grow into the future you experience. If you want a stronger future, feed your mind stronger thoughts. If you want a bigger life, allow yourself bigger visions. If you want a better tomorrow, start thinking at a higher level today. One of the greatest truths about human beings is this: your mind is not fixed, and you are never trapped in who you used to be. No matter where you come from, no matter what your past looks like, no matter how long you've carried certain habits, fears, or beliefs, you have the ability to reprogram your mind at any moment. You are not a prisoner of your old patterns. You are not defined by your history. You're not locked into the limitations you once believed about yourself. Your mind is adaptable. It can change, grow, evolve, and stretch far beyond what you think is possible. Neuroscience calls this neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to reorganize itself, form new connections, and create new pathways. But you don't need scientific terms to understand this truth. You've already experienced it. Think about something you once feared but no longer fear. Think about something you once thought was impossible but now you easily do. Your mind shifted and your life shifted with it. The challenge is not whether your mind can change. The challenge is whether you are willing to take control of that change. Because if you don't actively shape your mind, it will be shaped by your environment, your past, your wounds, and the beliefs of others. Your mind is always being programmed. You just have to decide whether you'll be the programmer or the program. Many people believe they are just the way they are, as if their personality, discipline, habits, and confidence levels are set in stone. But that is a lie created by comfort and fear. You can become more confident, more disciplined, more focused, more courageous, more patient, more resilient. You can rebuild your mindset the way an architect redesigns a building. Brick by thought, habit by habit. Reprogramming your mind starts by questioning your old beliefs. Who told you that you weren't enough? Who convinced you that you would fail? Who made you believe you weren't capable of more? Often these beliefs didn't come from truth. They came from fear, from insecurity, or from experiences that wounded you. But just because something once felt true doesn't mean it has to remain true. You can write the meaning of your past. You can reinterpret your failures. You can create a new story for your future. Every time you challenge a limiting belief, you weaken it. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you reshape your identity. Every time you replace a negative thought with a powerful one, you strengthen new mental pathways. Reprogramming your mind is not about changing everything overnight. It is about small, consistent shifts. It's about feeding your mind better thoughts, better inputs, better reminders of who you want to become. It's about surrounding yourself with people, environments, and information that align with the future you're building, not the past you're leaving behind. The most powerful transformation happens when you realize that you are not your thoughts. You are the thinker behind them. You have the authority to delete, rewrite, and replace any belief that no longer serves who you want to become. When you understand that, you unlock a level of freedom most people never experience. You can wake up any day and say, I'm done thinking like the old me. I choose growth. I refuse to let my past dictate my future. I decide what my mind becomes. Opportunities are not always something you find in the world. More often, they are something you recognize because of the mindset you carry. Two people can stand in the same place, look at the same situation, and yet one sees a dead end while the other sees a doorway. This difference doesn't come from luck or talent. It comes from mindset. When you change your mindset, you change the lens through which you see the world, and suddenly life reveals chances, paths, and possibilities that were invisible before. A limited mindset blinds you. It makes you overlook potential. It convinces you that success is rare, that chances are few, and that life is stacked against you. But when your mind shifts, when you begin to think with belief instead of fear, vision instead of doubt, a strategy instead of excuses, you start to notice opportunities that were always around you but hidden by your old thinking. A changed mindset expands your awareness. You begin to notice things others ignore. You see patterns others miss. You connect ideas others cannot connect. This is why mindset is the difference between people who stay stuck and people who rise. Most people are surrounded by opportunities but cannot see them because they're too focused on problems, obstacles, and limitations. They are mentally tuned to negativity, so positivity doesn't register. They are trained to survive, not progress, so everything looks dangerous instead of valuable. But once your mind shifts, the same situation begins to look different. A rejection becomes a redirection. A failure becomes information. A delay becomes preparation. Problems begin to look like challenges you can solve rather than reasons to quit. This inner transformation is what opens the door to outer opportunities. Your mindset also determines the kind of opportunities you attract. When you think more boldly, you act more boldly. When you think more creatively, you speak more creatively. When you think more ambitiously, you pursue things with a different level of confidence. And because your actions shift, people begin to respond to you differently. You become someone who invites trust, inspires collaboration, and draws opportunities your way. Your changed mindset also pushes you to step into rooms you once felt unworthy of. You begin applying for roles you used to think were out of reach. You start taking risks you once avoided. You initiate conversations, seek mentors, try new paths, and explore new ideas. Each of these actions puts you in the path of opportunities that remain invisible to those who never change their thinking. Even your definition of opportunity evolves. Instead of only chasing big external chances, you start appreciating smaller internal opportunities, the chance to learn, to grow, to discipline yourself, to build consistency. You recognize that every step, no matter how small, is a seed for something greater. The truth is, life doesn't always give opportunities to the most talented or the most intelligent. It gives opportunities to those who can see them, prepare for them, and act on them. And all three of those abilities are rooted in mindset. When you elevate your thinking, you raise your level of awareness. And when awareness rises, opportunity multiplies. A mindset doesn't just help you spot opportunities. It helps you create them, shape them, and maximize them. It turns ordinary moments into extraordinary possibilities. It transforms obstacles into stepping stones. It takes a path that once seemed impossible and makes it your new reality. Every challenge you face in life, every setback, every obstacle, every moment of difficulty, is filtered first through your mindset. It's not the challenge itself that defines your future, it's your response to that challenge. And your response is shaped by the thoughts, beliefs, and expectations living inside your mind. This is why two people can experience the same hardship and walk away with completely different outcomes. One breaks, and the other becomes unbreakable. One sees defeat, the other sees development. The difference begins in the mind. A weak mindset sees challenges as threats. It interprets every difficulty as a personal attack, every failure as a permanent judgment, every obstacle as proof that success is impossible. This mindset leads to avoidance, self-doubt, and quitting. When your mind is trained to expect the worst, even small challenges feel overwhelming, and you become trapped in fear, hesitation, and frustration. But a strong mindset transforms the way you see adversity. It doesn't remove pain or difficulty, but it changes the meaning behind them. Instead of saying, "Why is this happening to me?" a strong mind asks, "What is this trying to teach me?" Instead of seeing a setback as the end, you see it as an opportunity to rise. Instead of shrinking under pressure, you grow through it. Your mindset determines how quickly you recover after falling. Some people stay down for weeks, months, or even years because their mind convinces them that getting back up is pointless. Others rise almost immediately because their mindset is trained to bounce back, adapt, and push forward. The challenge doesn't change. What changes is how they think. And because their thinking changes, their recovery changes. When you develop a resilient mindset, challenges become training grounds. Every struggle builds strength. Every failure builds wisdom. Every obstacle sharpens your abilities. Your mind starts realizing that challenges are not roadblocks. They are stepping stones toward a more powerful version of yourself. Your mindset also determines the emotions you attach to difficulties. A negative mindset attaches fear, anger, or hopelessness to every problem, making it harder to focus, plan, or act. A growth mindset attaches curiosity, learning, and confidence, allowing you to stay calm, think clearly, and make better decisions even in moments of stress. And most importantly, your mindset decides whether you give up or push forward. And challenges test your belief in yourself. If your mindset is rooted in insecurity, you will believe that pressure means you're not capable. But if your mindset is rooted in strength and purpose, pressure will remind you that you are growing into someone stronger. Every champion, every leader, every successful person has faced massive challenges. But what set them apart wasn't luck or talent. It was their ability to face difficulty with the right mindset. They trained themselves to stay composed when others panicked, to stay determined when others quit, and to stay focused when others lost direction. With the right mindset, challenges stop controlling you. Instead, you use them to elevate yourself. You turn every storm into a lesson. You turn every difficulty into a breakthrough. You turn every moment of pressure into proof that you are becoming the strongest version of yourself. Your life is a reflection of the thoughts you nurture day after day. Not the thoughts you think once in a while, not the ones that appear for a moment and disappear, but the thoughts you repeat, rehearse, and accept as truth. These repeated thoughts form the foundation of your identity, your decisions, your habits, and ultimately your future. Whatever you consistently think about, you gradually become. Your thoughts are like silent sculptors shaping your character, behavior, and destiny. Even when you don't notice it, your mind is constantly creating patterns that dictate how you respond, what you believe, and what you expect from yourself and from life. If you repeatedly think thoughts of doubt, "I'm not capable, I'm not enough, I'll never succeed," those thoughts begin to define your confidence. They weaken your ambition, limit your actions, and shrink your potential. The more you repeat them, the more they carve deep grooves in your mind until they feel like unquestionable truth. You start behaving according to those beliefs, even though they were never real to begin with. They were simply repeated. On the other hand, when you consistently feed your mind thoughts of strength, "I can grow, I can learn, I will improve, I am becoming better," You start to build a mental environment where success feels natural. Your mind becomes your supporter instead of your enemy. You start walking like someone who believes in themselves. You start acting like someone who expects progress. You start making decisions with courage instead of fear. Repeated thoughts shape your identity. Repeated thoughts shape your confidence. Repeated thoughts shape your habits. Repeated thoughts shape your future. Every habit you currently have started with a thought. Whether the habit is good or bad, weak or powerful, destructive or productive, it began in your mind long before it showed up in your behavior. A thought repeated turned into an action repeated, and an action repeated turned into a habit lived. This is why controlling your thoughts is not a small thing. It is everything. If you allow negative, fearful, defeated thoughts to dominate your mind, your life will move in the direction of those thoughts. You may not want the outcome, but your repeated thinking will lead you there. Your mind is always listening to you. Every time you tell yourself a story, even silently, you reinforce and strengthen that story. If you want to change who you are, you must change the story you tell yourself every day. You must replace the mental script of fear with the script of confidence. Replace the script of weakness with the script of strength. Replace the script of limitation with the script of possibility. What you repeatedly think also shapes the standards you accept. If you repeatedly think you deserve less, you will tolerate less. If you repeatedly think you can only achieve small things, you will never pursue big things. But when your repeated thoughts elevate your standards, you begin demanding more from yourself and more from your life. Your repeated thoughts even determine the kinds of opportunities you pursue. A person who thinks confidently will take risks, step into new environments, and challenge themselves. A person who thinks small will stay in the same place, doing the same things, experiencing the same life, not because they lack ability, but because their repeated thought built mental walls around their potential. Every transformation begins with a shift in repeated thoughts. When you consistently choose empowering thoughts, you strengthen your inner world. And when your inner world becomes strong, your outer world begins to change with it. Every major transformation in your life, every breakthrough, every improvement, every new chapter begins with a single spark inside the mind, one new thought. People often believe they need massive action, huge motivation, or extraordinary circumstances to change their lives, but the truth is far simpler. Change doesn't begin with the physical, it begins with the mental. It begins the moment a new idea enters your mind and challenges the old patterns that have been holding you back. One new thought has the power to disrupt years of self-doubt. One new thought can break the cycle of fear, hesitation, and procrastination. One new thought can wake up parts of you that have been asleep for years. And once that thought takes root, once you allow it to grow, it becomes the foundation for decisions, habits, and actions that completely reshape your future. Think about any great achievement in history, any personal accomplishment, any powerful comeback. Every one of them started with a single moment of mental clarity where someone said, I can do better. I deserve more. I won't accept this anymore. I'm capable of changing. That realization, that shift is the beginning of everything. Your life doesn't change when you take the first step. It changes when you decide to take it. It changes when you entertain a new way of thinking, even if it feels uncomfortable, unfamiliar, or uncertain. One new thought acts like a seed. At first, it's small, almost invisible, but inside that tiny seed lies the potential to grow into something powerful. Over time, that thought expands into belief. Belief expands into intention. Intention expands into action, and action expands into transformation. That is how change happens. Quietly at first, then loudly through your results. A new thought can give you direction when you feel lost. It can give you hope when you feel broken. It can give you courage when you feel stuck. It can give you clarity when everything else feels confusing. It can remind you that you still have control, you still have potential, and you still have the ability to rewrite your story. This is why feeding your mind the right thoughts is so critical. When you expose yourself to new ideas, new perspectives, new knowledge, and new beliefs, you give yourself mental tools to challenge your old identity. You create space for growth. You break the cycle of thinking that has kept you in the same place for years. Many people stay stuck not because they lack ability, but because they repeat the same thoughts every day. They think the way they thought yesterday, and so they live the same day again and again. But the moment a new thought enters, what if I tried? What if I learned? What if I changed? The cycle breaks. Suddenly there is a crack in the wall, a doorway where there used to be a dead end. One new thought can push you to start a habit you've avoided. It can motivate you to leave a toxic situation. It can inspire you to chase a dream you buried long ago. It can empower you to see possibilities instead of problems. A new thought is the beginning of a new identity. It is the moment where the old version of you begins to fade and a stronger, wiser, more determined version begins to rise. And once this shift happens, once your mind accepts the possibility of something greater, you become unstoppable from the inside out. Every breakthrough in life begins with discomfort. When you push yourself into unfamiliar territory, your mind and body naturally resist. But this friction is the birthplace of growth. Every time you choose discipline over ease, you are silently shaping a stronger, sharper, and more resilient version of yourself. Discomfort is not a sign to stop. It's a sign you're finally moving in the right direction. Champions don't avoid the pain. They learn to walk through it with purpose, skills, habits, routines. They all collapse if your mind is weak. The real battlefield is internal, where doubt, fear, and insecurity try to overpower you. When you strengthen your mindset, you strengthen every part of your life. You learn to filter noise, silence negativity, and focus on what truly matters. A disciplined mind becomes a weapon. And once you control your thoughts, no one can control your path. If you wait for the perfect moment, the perfect opportunity, or the perfect motivation, you will wait forever. Life rewards action, not hesitation. Progress comes from doing the best you can with what you have right now. Successful people start before they feel ready because they understand that clarity comes from movement, not from standing still. Perfection is a trap. Consistency is power. Excuses feel good in the moment, but they destroy you over time. They keep you stuck, repeating the same patterns while convincing yourself that you're trying. Responsibility is where transformation begins. When you take ownership of your decisions, your failure, your results, and your future, you take back your power. No more blaming circumstances, people, or the past. Responsibility is the foundation of discipline. Your energy determines your productivity, your mood, your vision, and your success. Not everyone deserves access to it. Remove people who drain you, environments that distract you, and habits that weaken you. Choose peace over noise, purpose over pleasure, and long-term fulfillment over temporary comfort. Guarding your energy is not selfish. It's necessary for survival in a world full of distractions. Challenges are not obstacles meant to stop you. They are opportunities designed to shape you. Every challenge reveals something: your strength, your weaknesses, your courage, your potential. When life gets harder, it's not punishing you, it's training you. The stronger the challenge, the greater the growth waiting on the other side. Instead of asking, why me? Ask, what is this trying to teach me? Discipline is not built through big gestures. It's built through small, consistent actions that accumulate into massive change. Waking up on time, completing a task you promised yourself, choosing focus over distraction. These micro wins strengthen your mental muscle. Over time, discipline becomes your identity. And once it becomes who you are, success becomes a natural outcome. Success is not a race, it's a direction. What matters is movement, not how fast you move. Some seasons of life will be slow, heavy, and difficult. But as long as you keep going, you remain unstoppable. Comparing your timeline with others destroys your focus. Your journey is unique and your only competition is who you were yesterday. Consistent progress, no matter how small, eventually becomes unstoppable momentum. Everything begins with belief. If you don't believe you're capable, deserving, and strong enough to create the life you want, you will sabotage yourself at every step. Self-belief is not arrogance, it's the fuel that keeps you going when nothing else does. You must see the vision, feel the vision, and work for the vision long before it becomes real. When you believe in your worth, you stop settling for less, stop accepting excuses, and start moving like someone who knows they were built for something greater. Every emotion you feel, every reaction you show, and every behavior you express begins nowhere else but in your mind. Most people believe their emotions control them, that anger just happens, that sadness just appears, that fear just takes over. But the truth is deeper. Your emotions are responses to the thoughts you're thinking, not random forces that strike without warning. Your mind is the command center of your emotional life. It interprets every situation. It decides what something means, and based on that meaning, your emotions rise or fall. When your mind interprets an event as threatened, when your mind interprets a comment as disrespectful, anger appears. When your mind interprets a failure as the end, sadness or shame appears. But when your mind becomes stronger, when you train it, discipline it, and guide it, your emotions become stable, calmer, and more aligned with the life you want to live. Instead of reacting automatically, you begin responding consciously. Instead of exploding, you start thinking. Instead of breaking down, you begin understanding. A disciplined mind calms emotional chaos. A focused mind controls emotional triggers. A strong mind turns emotional storms into manageable waves. Your emotions do not originate from the outside world. They originate from the story your mind creates about the outside world. Two people can be in the same situation and feel completely different emotions because their minds interpret the moment differently. One sees criticism and feels offended. The other sees feedback and feels motivated. One sees rejection and feels broken. The other sees redirection and feels hopeful. Your behavior is also shaped by these mental interpretations. People don't act based on reality. They act based on their perceived reality. And perception is born in the mind. If your mind constantly focuses on negativity, your behavior will show hesitation, fear, or defensiveness. If your mind is filled with scarcity, your behavior becomes reactive and desperate. But when your mind is filled with clarity, confidence, and purpose, your behavior reflects strength, direction, and discipline. A strong mind creates emotional balance. It allows you to feel emotions without being controlled by them. You still experience fear, but you don't allow fear to stop you. You still experience anger, but you don't allow anger to define you. You still face sadness, but you don't allow sadness to consume you. Your mind becomes the leader and your emotions follow, not the other way around. When you change your thinking, you change your emotional world. When you change your emotional world, you change your actions. And when you change your actions, your life changes. Think of how many people make destructive decisions because of temporary emotions. They quit something valuable because they felt discouraged for a moment. They lash out and damage relationships because anger controlled them. They avoid opportunities because fear whispered lies. They sabotage their progress because their emotions were louder than their logic. But once the mind begins to take control, your emotional reactions lose their power to derail your life. You become more thoughtful, more patient, more selective with your energy. You learn to pause before reacting, reflect before responding, and act with purpose instead of impulse. Your emotional strength doesn't come from being tough. It comes from mastering the thoughts that ignite your emotions. A controlled mind creates controlled emotions, and controlled emotions create a controlled discipline, and elevated life. At the end of the day, everything you have ever dreamed of, every you wake up thinking about, everything your heart refuses to let it all depends on one thing: the strength of your mindset. Life will test you, people will doubt you, circumstances will try to break you, but you must never forget this truth: you are stronger than every challenge that stands in your way. The world doesn't give power. It respects those who take it. And you take your power back the moment you decide that you will no longer live controlled by excuses, controlled by fear, or controlled by the limitations others place on you. You take your power back the moment you say, enough, my life is mine. A discipline is not punishment. It is freedom, is the key that separates those who only wish from those who truly achieve. Your future will not be created by chance, it will be created by choice. By the choices you make today, in this moment, when no one is watching, when no one is clapping, when no one even believes in you yet, but you believe. You believe in the person you are becoming. You believe in the fire inside you that refuses to die. You believe in the story you're writing, the story that only you can live. So stand tall, walk forward. And don't look back. You don't need permission. You don't need validation. You don't need the world to understand your journey. All you need is the courage to keep going. Because the moment you decide you're unstoppable, nothing in this world can stop you.